For pretty much the entirety of the lifespan of Helldivers 2, we've assumed that the reason Terminids keep killing people and dragging them back to their nests was because they ate them. And while it's a reasonable assumption, it isn't true. The actual answer for why they do that lies in their architecture. But first, how do they know that they don't eat them? Well, the answer for that is pretty simple. What would the Terminids even eat on the hive worlds? Because those have been closed off to us for over a year. In seeing just how badly they're infested, the bugs would have had to heavily ration the corpses to even have a chance at surviving for how long they have with their current population numbers. And with how the bugs just kind of throw themselves at you when they're fighting, it's pretty obvious they are not anywhere near smart enough to even do something like that. And I don't even think they need to eat, since when you blow the head off of some of them, they don't instantly die. Rather, they just charge at where you were and then just swing before dying from the blood loss. So that means they don't have a brain, and because of that, their anatomy is entirely up in the air. We never actually see them. We also never actually see them eat too. So they might not even have like stomachs in the first place. So pretty safe to assume they don't eat people or anything at all. So then, going back to the architecture, what do they have to do with the people? Well, firstly, their structures are mostly made of the ground they dig up when they make their tunnels. That's kind of obvious. But if you take a closer look, you can see these sort of vein-like growths all around them. This, to my knowledge, is how they hold their structures together. They use their gunk to stick the chunks of rock together so they don't fall apart. The reason I bring this up, though, is because this proves that they do mix stuff into their structures. And secondly, when you destroy a stalker nest, you can sometimes find piles and piles of human corpses in them, proving that they don't just leave corpses alone. They do actively mix them into their structures. But what does any of this have to do with the hive worlds? Well, during the mine order to get common samples on Omicron, I noticed something. The walls were bleeding. Now, granted, that is a big stretch, after all. That could have just been oxidization in the rock from the exposure to the air for all that time, But if you look around the hive worlds, you can see more stuff like this with blood red plants and fleshy growths on the ground. And none of the other structures have this red stuff on them, only the caves. And on top of that, the caves have very large sections that have none of those veiny patterns on them, despite being constructed in the same way. So clearly, they used something other than their gunk, but what could have been mixed into the caves to hold them together then? Well, I'm sure you can tell by now. The only thing they have mixed into structures that was not their gunk were people. The hive worlds are made from human flesh. Okay, but why would they even do this in the first place? Why couldn't they just use their gunk like they normally do? Well, going back to the plans, have you ever seen War of the Worlds? The one with Tom Cruise, not that dog shit one that was released last year. You remember the scene where the aliens were using human blood to grow their vegetation on Earth? I think it could be something similar to that. Considering that the red Terminid plants are only found on the hive worlds, they could be trying to terraform the planet's environments, and they need human blood for that for some reason. That's really the only reason I could even think of for why they would even do that in the first place. But that's all I have for you today. Out of all the factions, the Terminids have the least, I guess, lore surrounding them. So anything surrounding their motivations and goals and all that stuff is definitely welcome. But, they are kind of just bugs, so there isn't really much Arrowhead can do with that. The idea of Terminids trying to terraform planets is interesting. I'm not sure if it's what Arrowhead is trying to imply. but the gloom is definitely more than just an attempt by the Terminists to stop Super Earth from killing them. If you like this video, I'd appreciate if you'd like, subscribe, as well as leave a comment and share, and with that, I will see you later. So, future me here, I was doing some super credit farming on Omicron, and I found something. At the POIs, you can find piles of skeletons mixed into the ground. This pretty much just confirms my theory. My biggest hole in it was that you couldn't really find any any skeletons like mixed into the walls or anything like that, so there's, pretty big hole there. But this just fills it in completely, so yeah. It's basically 100% confirmed at this point.